The lesson that we're going to look at today is about vegetation, and it's called Vegetation in the Atlantic Region. I would like you to pause just for a few moments and think about what you've actually seen growing within our local community, within our local area here on the South Shore. You can also think about the Annapolis Valley region, think about other parts of Nova Scotia you may have visited, or other communities within the whole Atlantic region you may have visited. Plants that grow in a region are called vegetation. Here is an image of a forested area. Now, forests actually cover more than half of Nova Scotia. And just as a side note, the red spruce is Nova Scotia's official tree. And here is a picture or an image of a red spruce all decked out for the holiday season. Here we have another example of vegetation growing in a field. This is actually potatoes, and potatoes are grown on many farms in the Atlantic region. Hey, take a look in the background. This is actually the Confederation Bridge that extends from New Brunswick to PEI. And what do we have sitting here in this crate? How about these crates? You've guessed it, apples, which grow on the apple trees, which you find in apple orchards. And you find apple orchards in abundance in the Annapolis Valley area. Do any of you know what these are? What type of vegetation is this? These are called fiddleheads. Have you ever eaten fiddleheads? I have to say, they're okay. The only place I've really seen these growing are along the Mersey River heading out towards Greenfield Way. You see them on the sides of the road, close to the water. They grow in many other areas also, not just there, of course. And what beautiful vegetation example do we have here? Do any of you recognize this gorgeous little flower? This is Nova Scotia's provincial flower, and it's the Mayflower. It blooms in the spring. The flowers grow close to the ground in woodland areas. Have any of you seen the Mayflower growing? Have you picked any Mayflowers? Now that we've looked at a few examples of vegetation that grow within our region, you have a couple of tasks to complete with a partner. I want you to view the vegetation map on page 19 of your textbook and determine what vegetation grows within Nova Scotia as well as our neighboring Atlantic provinces. Your second job is then to think about the types of vegetation grown in our province that are most important to you. So with your partner, discuss that question, and you have to be able to explain why you feel that type of vegetation is important. Here's a quick look at that activity sheet that you and your partner will tackle together. So you're going to view that map, you're going to determine which types of vegetation are important to us within our region, and of course explain why. Once you're finished, you can illustrate, label the vegetation types, or take some photos, save them for a pic collage later. If you and your partner have completed everything to date, see if you can tackle this. I'm hoping you can go visit one of our local grocery stores, either Sobeys or Superstore, and I want you to take along this activity sheet that I've created. As you can see, I've given you a list of various vegetation types that you will find at the grocery store. You are to decide whether you think each of these vegetation types is grown locally, either here in Nova Scotia or within our Atlantic region or not. You're going to write yes or no in the second column here. There's no wrong answer, by the way. It's simply a prediction that you're making. When you're back at school, you will have to confirm your predictions and choices by completing the last portion of this activity sheet. How, you ask? Well, you and your partner will get together and you will visit the internet, where you will Google some questions like, do pineapples grow in Atlantic Canada? Do mangoes grow in Atlantic Canada? Now you're not quite finished here, because if you determine that a vegetation type does not grow locally, you have to find out where the food actually is grown and where it comes from. Lastly, see if you can find out how these vegetation products actually end up at Sobeys or at the superstore. How do we end up getting mangoes and kiwi? So in closing, remember to be collaborative, share your ideas, help your partner or partners. Be sure to record those responses on the activity sheet I've created for you, and or use your device, and you can record anything at any time. And where are we going next with all this great information we're learning? Well, we will jump into talking about importing and exporting foods such as these. Have fun and work hard.